Okay, welcome back. I'm glad you joined me again for the second video on interpolation. Okay, I'm actually using this textbook here for my next example. All right, it's the International A-Level, of course, Edexcel. I love Edexcel. If you're watching any of you from Edexcel, yeah, thank you. Thank you for not making maths unnecessarily difficult. Okay, Edexcel should really be the examination body of choice. What it is for me anyway. Example 7 I'm using. Okay, anyway, that's me plugging Edexcel. Okay, I genuinely mean that. I've always start with Edexcel. So here we go. We've got a table, time, t minutes, and here. This is what I call a layman's table. In other words, it's in layman's terms. Okay, when you start using inequalities, the less than or equal to signs, the general public start like, oh, what's that? You know, too much maths. Okay. Whereas when you just put it as 30 to 31, 32 to 33, it's simplified. Okay, it's not as mathematically nice or correct with continuous data to do that, because it looks like there's a gap there, isn't there? You should have covered this earlier on in the text. Okay, but it kind of looks like there's a gap between there and there, isn't it? Okay, so the way you've got to interpret it is this: these figures are to the nearest minute. Okay, so a figure of 31.2 minutes goes in that group there. Okay, or another way of looking at it is the maximum possible value that can go in there is 31.5. Or if we use inequalities, we put less than 31.5. So the upper boundary is 31.5. The lower boundary, the minimum possible value there is 29.5. So the minimum possible time minutes would be 29.5. Okay, and this, the way you interpret that, is 31.5 to 33.5. Okay, 33.5 to 36.5. 36.5 to 39.5. I hope that's clear. And then when it's written like that with inequalities, no gaps in the table in each of the classes. Okay. Right. What we're going to do with this question? Sorry, I can't remember what I was going to do with this one. Okay. So this asks you for the upper quartile and the 10th percentile. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through the. I'm going to talk you through the median. Okay. And then we'll look at the percentiles. Okay. So the median, this is a terrible board pen, okay? Let me just get a better one. The median, Q2, okay? Let's just do that. So first of all, see how many data values there are. So 27, 30, 40, 70, okay? So we're going to have the 35th value, yeah? 35th value for the median. Where does that lie? Let's just do the CF column, yeah, neater, just something that might just help you, because you've got to do the cumulative frequencies when you're working out which class to choose. So 2, 27, 57, 70. It's also a handy way of checking that as well. Okay, because the last thing we'll do is get that wrong, because then the whole question's wrong. Okay. So 35th value, and where does this lie? It lies in the 227, in that class there, isn't it? So my thumb there, the 34 to 36 class interval. Okay, so somewhere between there and there is what we're expecting for the median. All right. How much into that class interval does it lie? Okay. Well, the first 27 are there. We're at the 35th, so it's next 8 values. Yeah? It's 8. What's the fraction going to be? 8 out of how many? 8 out of how many? There's 30 values altogether. So 8 out of 30. Okay, so 8/30ths into this class interval. What's the class width? Careful when you think about that. What's the class width? Okay. You're saying 2? It's not 2. Remember what I said? Okay. The lower boundary for this is 33.5. The upper boundary for that is 36.5. Then if you look between the two, it's 3. It's a class width of 3. Okay. So do be careful with these types of question where the groups are put in like that. That's where the common error normally is. Okay. So it's the class width of 3. What do you do next? Well, that will give you a value, a number, a time in minutes. Okay, but it starts at, what does it start at? Again, you've got to be careful with this. It starts at 33.5. Okay, you basically got to read these classes as the very first figure to appear in this interval is with 33.5, and the very last one 36.5. So 33.5 there, okay? And then we just work out what that is. Let us do that. So 8 divided by 30, okay? Multiplied by 3 plus 33.5 and 34.3. And that turns out to be exact actually, 34.3 minutes. Hope you agree with that. Okay, 34.3 minutes. And that's the median done. Okay. What did I say I was going to do next? Yeah, I said I was going to do the percentiles. Okay. Well, a percentile is a bit like a quartile, okay, in that, you just divide it up into 100 units instead of 4, okay. You can have deciles if you want. Deciles you divide up into 10, okay. With percentiles, it's a common thing for people to talk about, okay. I noticed that particularly in America, when you do an entrance test, people are like, oh, you're in the top whatever percentile, okay. That's kind of where it comes from, all right. Just as we use Q for quartiles, we use D for deciles, we use P for percentiles, right? So the 10th percentile is that, okay? It's the first 10 out of 100, 1/10, okay? Just as the lower quartile is the first quarter, okay? So the 10th percentile is that, all right? So to find the 10th percentile, we find 10% of 70. It's the 7th value, okay? It's the 7th value. Which class does that lie in? Okay, it lies in the, it's that one, isn't it? Okay. 32 to 33 class. Right, the first two are there, then 7th is obviously there, okay? What's the fraction that we want? Okay, well, first two are there, we want the 7th value, so add on 5, so it's 5 values into this class, isn't it? So 5 values out of how many? How many in that class? There's 25 in there. So you've got 5 25ths into this class, okay? So 5 25ths of the class width. What's the class width? It's 2, okay? Because it's ranging from 31.5, the lower boundary, to 33.5, the upper boundary. So 31.5 to 33.5, 2, okay? And then once you've got that, we'll add it onto here, okay? If it helps you, just write these numbers in. When you've got an examination script and you've got the actual table there, just put these numbers in. That's probably what I would do, okay? And then just work out what that is, okay? So you could probably do that with a calculator, can't you? So that's 1/5, okay, times by 2, so that's 2/5, decimals 0.4, plus that 31.9 centimetres. That's exact as well, so 31.9, okay. That's P10. Let me just write that down there, okay, because I'm going to do something with it. 31.9. Hope that made sense to you. Here's my cleaner, okay. I'll lose my rag in a minute. And work out the 90th percentile next, okay. So we label that as P90, the 90th percentile. 90% of 70, or 10% was 7, so 90% is 63, isn't it? So the 63rd data value is what we're after, okay, 63rd value. Which class does this lie in? Lies in the 57 down to there, so it's got to be the last one, which is kind of reasonable because 90th percentile is at the upper end of the data range, isn't it? 37 to 39 class, okay. How much into that class does it lie? Okay, it lies 6 values into it, so 57, add on 6, makes 63rd. So 6 values into that class interval, okay. How many values are in that class? It's 13. So 6/13ths into that class, okay. What's the class width going to be? It's going to be 3. So this one here, just check. Lower boundary, 36.5. Upper boundary, 39.5. Okay. 36.5 to 39.5 is 3. So multiply it by 3. And then add on what? Add on that value that I just wrote down, 36.5. Okay. And we will use a calculator for this one. Don't fancy doing that one in my head. So 6 divided by 13 times by 3, add to 36.5, and there we go, 37 point, I'm going to round that to 0.9, okay. Let's check the units there, minutes, it's 1 decimal place, okay, 37.9, okay, that's that, okay. Sometimes you're after the 10 to 90 percentile range, okay. I'm just going to write down this IPR, interpercentile range. You go to the interquartile range. Okay, difference between upper quartile and lower quartile. You've got the interdecile range, difference between two types of deciles. Interpercentile range, it's the difference between two types of percentiles. Okay, 10 to 90 percentile range is quite a common one, but you could have like a 20 to 80 percentile range, because nothing stops you having a 10 to 80 percentile range, but 10 to 90 is quite common. Okay, so the interpercentile range, we look at the 10 to 90 one. So I want to write that a bit better. Okay, so we'll write that as 10 to 90 percentile range. Okay, for IPR, interpercentile range, and it's quite simple. Just with the interquartile range, you do the larger value, so it's 37 point whatever that was, 88 something. Notice again with the exact values, always a good idea. Be in the habit of using exact values where possible, and that was an exact value if I remember rightly, 31.9. So subtract 31.9. Okay, depends the level of accuracy you require. Okay, so I've got 5.98. You see, I'm going to round that to 6.0, one decimal place. Check the units, minutes. Okay. And that's that. That's the percentile range. Okay. I'm hoping you found that useful. Okay, I'm hoping you're ready to work through the questions. Okay, and remember, you know, whatever your feelings are, statistics. Okay, you probably know mine. It's actually very useful in the real world to be able to do these calculations. Okay, or at least set up a computer, a spreadsheet to do them for you. Because if you're working in industry, you need to be good with data. Basically, you need to know what's happening in whatever industry you're working. Okay, and measures of location and spread. You know, in this case, medians and quartile range, the percentile range. They're important for you and your company to know how things are going. Okay, right. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you got something out of it. Okay, and hope to see you again soon. Right.